The Stick Man on all social media.
Ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you are having an enormously wonderful day. So happy to be out here with you this evening, and I have to introduce myself before we get all these things started. My name is Isis Jones. I will be a facilitator tonight for LaShonda Scales Presents the Mayoral Town Hall Meeting. We have some amazing guests in the house, and more importantly, tonight is the night for you to be able to ask some questions and have some questions answered. Democracy is such an amazing thing that we have in this country, and the fact that we're in this race on August 26th to pick our new mayor and so many different council people as well. There are so many different positions and openings in this city that you really know that people are passionate about what they think about Birmingham. So tonight, the audience gets to ask questions, and you online get to ask questions as well. But I ask that you share this feed right now. You can go on Facebook, that's at Scales BHM. Actually on YouTube at Scales BHM, and on Facebook at Scales for Mayor of BHM. Share it with your friends and family, and make sure that they know that we are on the night and having a great time. And while we're at it, can y'all give a round of applause for my DJ, CJ the Stick Man? Hey, some folks online ask for some music, and you ask and you shall receive. But again, we'll be facilitating the questions. I'll be looking online to make sure that you have your questions ready as well. So without further ado, let's start the town hall meeting with, of course, LaShonda Scales.
How's everybody doing tonight? All right, so we're ready to kick it off. You ready, Lionel? Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited. How y'all doing? Wonderful. This is going to be an absolute, very informative town hall meeting. I'm so happy to be here with you on tonight. Thank you all for agreeing to be here with us on today. I'm here to listen to you. Hopefully I can provide you some good answers. But I did want to make sure that we set the tone in which how we're going to conduct this particular meeting. Number one, we are streaming online, so y'all give a round of applause for those who are watching us via live stream. And again, so excited to be here with you all on tonight. So I want to just tell you, first of all, what the purpose of this meeting is for, this town hall meeting, is that we want to provide, as much as we can, answers to questions that you all have. And in addition to that, we have online viewers that we're trying to answer their questions also. And then out of respect for your time, that goes for everyone that's here tonight and online, we want to make sure that we remain on schedule and then on topic. Also, we are saying in this town hall meeting, because we're absolutely very respectful to all candidates, myself as well as others, that any personal attacks of any kind will not be allowed. So if you're seeking to talk about anyone that we think, whether it's the current administration or others, we just don't tolerate it. We got too many good things that I know that we can come to terms with. Also, we are letting everyone know that this town hall meeting is informative for all parties involved. And then last but not least, you all in this audience will have the opportunity to ask questions. You'll have 2 minutes to ask, and then I will respond. For those who are online, we will respond accordingly. So you just heard from Ms. Isis Jones, and give our DJ a round of applause. He did such a good job bringing you all in here tonight. And so we have no repeat questions, especially those who are online. We want to make sure if you're here tonight, make sure you silence your device. And then we want to make sure that online, that if we have already answered a question, come up with another question. And we just want to make sure we do that. But before we get started, again, I want to thank all of you all for being here with us. It is very important because she talked about democracy. This is the only time you get the opportunity to hire individuals that you think will work for you. And those individuals that you think not, then you can do the same or the opposite, which is don't rehire. And so, again, want to thank you all for being here tonight. Let's go ahead and get started. I know that some of you all have expressed in advance some of the things that concern you. And so what we're going to do is, starting with, if you could raise your hand, and then Ms. Isis is going to get, well, first of all, we won't ask questions right now. I want to hear from you as it relates to those things that you think are near and dear to you, that you know as an elected official, particularly as mayor, can do to make better. And so anyone want to speak to that, and so I can be able to hear from you tonight? Raise your hand. She's going to come to you. Okay, yes, sir. Hold on just a moment. She's going to walk around to you. If you don't mind to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then absolutely I want to hear from you.
Hello, my name's Ronald Parker. I'm with the Huffman Recreation Board in the eastern section of Birmingham. We service children from anywhere from 3 to 18 years old. We have a concern relative to crime.
Okay.
In the city. It evolved. We've been impacted by crime in many different ways, even the loss of a young 6-year-old at our park as well. So we feel it intimately. We're very concerned about officer retention. You know, when we get officers online, how can we make sure that they stay in Birmingham? And somewhat create a much more of a community policing type scenario. And I just want to know, what is your view on that, and what's your plan going forward relative to that issue?
Well, you kind of jumping ahead, though. So your name again?
Ronald Parker.
Mr. Parker. First of all, let me say thanks again for being here tonight. And then everyone else, we want to make sure I'm hearing from you first. And then we're going to open it up for Q&A here. But first of all, let me say, my heart always bleeds for young people when they die too young. And no age is an acceptable age, but especially when you're talking about small children, because I do a lot of work in the schools. When we're talking about community policing, what we have to understand is that what incentives are we providing as a city government that allows for an officer to live in this city, patrol in this city, in a community where they live? That's one of the things that I am going to propose to the city council, is that what we need to do is to make sure that these blighted properties that we have, we can take those properties, and if they are in a position where they're salvageable, they can be renovated. We want to renovate those properties and use it as incentives to attract officers, even those that have left. You know, we spend between $26,000 and $28,000 to make sure that our academies are strong, meaning that per person. And we don't do a good job with the city in making sure that we retain them. I don't know of any other program throughout Jefferson County that is allowing for home ownership. If they stay with the city at least for 5 to 10 years, where we're able to give them a home in exchange for you living in that community where you patrol. So we're not talking about giving you anything, but we want to make sure that there's a presence. And people have a tendency to think differently, especially when they live in the community where they work. That makes sense? Anyone else have any concerns that I need to hear from you tonight? Yes, sir. You mind stating your name and who you are?
Yes, my name is Garinthian Harris. I'm the pastor of Tabernacle of Faith Christian Church. Okay. One of my concerns is, as a pastor, we see that we have a lot of funerals now, and they're getting younger and younger because of the crime in the city. So that's one of our concerns, is to make sure that our young people have things to do as it relates to church activities and partnering with the city, maybe even doing some things with the city to get more activities for our young people to try to curb some of this killing in our city.
Wow, that's a good point. Anyone else? Yes. Thank you, Pastor.
I'm Pastor Randy Williams, recently retired from Parkway Christian Fellowship in the Huffman area. My concern is about families and how they're affected by crime in our city. We're a shrinking city in size, but a growing crime rate. That causes people to be afraid to live in the neighborhoods, and I'm concerned about that. I want to know how we best turn that around.
Okay, all right. Concerned about families who are affected by crime. How do we address that? Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Tina Sanders, and my question would be asking the families that are affected, do the city need to hear from their elected officials? These families going through this devastating trauma, not just on the news, they talk about what happened, but these families need to be, the person or the administrator need to be touchable and let the families know that they care about them. That's something, maybe a team or something need to be established where these families just don't feel all alone. It happened today, and you broadcast it on the news for a minute, then we don't hear nothing else.
Okay. So it sounds to me, which again, we're not answering questions right now because I want to hear from you. So it sounds, if I'm hearing you correctly, is that you want someone that's accessible to people to feel what they're going through, so that hopefully their public safety policies will reflect the fact that you really do care about these families and their welfare after a violent crime has occurred. Is that what you're saying? Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. Anyone else?
Thank you. I'm Jimmy Smith, 3504 34th Avenue North. Just happens to be 92 years of age. My concern is the criminal element that's next door to property that I don't own. I've locked the doors. The doors some kind of way get kicked in. I do maintain the grounds of this particular property that I'm speaking of. But the safety aspect of, for a better word, people who are, I say they're homeless, I don't know. But people that comes in and visit the house next door to where I live at nighttime. And that's a concern of mine. That's really a concern of mine. And I wish somebody would address this, not the groundkeeping. Yeah, address it all. The groundkeeping and the elements are the people that's coming in sometimes during the night for a place to stay. And that's a concern of mine.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that you believe that there are homeless individuals that are taking advantage of a abandoned home next to where you live, and that's your concern. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Jericho Mabberry, and I live in the city with my 4 kids. And I've had to withdraw one of my children from the Birmingham school system because he was allowed to be bullied and the school wouldn't handle it. And I had to get the Board of Education and an attorney involved in order for him to get some type of rectification, which really wasn't any solution. And I have 4 we live in Alabama, so my kids are real country. They like to play outside, and about 2 weeks ago, their dogs were shot in the neighbor's front yard, and they haven't been outside since. And my concern is, and my baby was on the front porch when it happened. So my concern is my kids they don't feel safe to be in their front yard. They don't feel safe to even be on their street. So that's one of my concerns.
So it sounds like, if I'm hearing correctly, you had an incident at the school. You had to withdraw your child from the school. And I'm sure that you'll probably expound on it a little bit more later. But you said a dog incident that occurred where the dog was shot?
It was 2 of my dogs, actually.
2 of your dogs,
Yeah,
okay.
one dog had 3 bullets in him. The other one was in the front yard, in the street, deceased.
So were your children around when this occurred?
My 3rd child was on the front porch trying to get them in the house, and she had to run in the house because she heard the gunshots.
Wow. I don't want to ask how old the child is, but because it really doesn't matter, but I get it. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else that want to share your concerns tonight?
Good evening. My name is Dexter Cunningham. I'm a retired police sergeant with the city of Birmingham and also a resident of the city of Birmingham. I'm also a trustee on the city's pension board, where I represent well over 3,000 retired employees. That's both police, fire, and civilian. And my concern is that the city's finances supposedly are moving in a positive direction. This past budget was the largest in the history of the city of Birmingham, yet I have retirees who have not received an increase in over 30 years. I have retirees that are having to decide, well, do I eat or do I buy my medicine? These individuals sweat blood and tears for the city of Birmingham. They kept their word. They ran into the fire. They ran to the gunshots. They worked when it was snowing, making sure the streets were safe. And it seems as if they have been forgotten after they've gotten all the juice out of them they could squeeze. And now they're literally living at a poverty level. That's my concern.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that the city, because of course my pension is with the city too, and especially for those of you who are here and those who are online, I came into the city where you vested at 5 years. And so I was at the city a total of 9. That's a real concern, especially being that my pension is still at the city of Birmingham. Okay, I hear you. All right, anyone else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Ray Brooks. I am a retired fire chief. And one of the things that I have lived in Birmingham for 30 years now, and one of the things that always occurs after an election is no unity with those candidates that have all been seeking the same positions. How will one of the concerns I have is someone to lead that will bring all people together. That's the concern that I have.
Okay. Help me to understand, when you say all people, are you saying all candidates or all people, citizens of Birmingham. All of our elected officials. So it sounds like collaboration after election. I got you. I hear you, and I hear you. Anyone else?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vanessia Dean, and I am a homeowner in the Bellevue Heights neighborhood, also a property management consultant. And what's concerning to me is that how it has become the norm for police response or lack of police response in that area. It's almost as if Inslee is just a part of Birmingham whenever it comes to gun violence, whenever it comes to any type of crime, and we never get the response. Recent occurrence, someone had patio furniture stolen off of her front porch. She actually had it caught on the Ring camera, went to and our West Precinct was closed. Already did response, and anytime we call, it's like 911, please hold. So that's quite concerning to me as how are we going to change that? Be the way taxpayers should be receiving the services that we are expecting for our tax dollars. That's one of the 7 services we should be receiving.
Okay. So if I'm hearing correctly, your concern is as a taxpayer that when there is committed, the response is either delayed or not provided at all. Okay. All right. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Kelvin Lang, and I pastor the Bright Lily Baptist Church in Kingston.
Mm-hmm.
And due to the violence, we've had a flight of people in the city going to other municipalities, say Trustful, Gardendale, McCullough. Violence. They don't want to be, they don't feel safe. Their kids don't feel safe. Concerned that we get a handle on the violence and maybe we can get a return to our Birmingham residents back to Birmingham.
So again, listening to what you're saying is a population loss due to crime, and how do we get people back? Okay, absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Give her just a moment. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Kimberly Welen. I am a resident of the Huffman area. I also am a retiree of Birmingham.
Mm-hmm.
I previously worked for Birmingham under every mayor since Dr. Richard Arrington. And my concern is, in my area, seems to be, like other areas of the city, forgotten. Just recently, there was a young man that was here from out of town trying to make a gun purchase, got shot. Prior to that was another young man, and prior was another young man. Mm-hmm. And like one of the other speakers said, the response time is, and I realize that's due to the fact that there's a staff shortage. Mm-hmm. Where I recently moved, thought I was moving to a very nice neighborhood. Gunshots become more and more frequent. I also experienced a shot coming through my home.
Wow.
And when I reached out to the police department, I'll say that the response was very lukewarm. Mm-hmm. So my concern is crime escalating. There's no activities for our young people to do, so they're resorting to violence, and we don't have any alternative. When you call the police, they come, they're doing nothing, and it's no reflection on the police because I realize that they're doing their jobs. Mm-hmm. So that's my concern.
Okay. So in other words, you're saying the crime is escalating, but you don't see a path forward. The police department is providing safety in the community where you live. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
Hey, my name is Paul. I've been here for a resident of Birmingham for 30 years, born and raised. And my concern is public safety issue, also a gun violence issue. When we are having events, wherever in Birmingham, me and my want to feel safe when we're out amongst masses of people. We want to feel like we might be a victim of a stray bullet or something like that. So that's one of the things the young people really want to know. How can we prevent being the next victim to a stray bullet.
Okay. So you're saying that when you and your friends go out, I assume, are you saying you're 30? So you're saying that when you and your friends go out, you want to know that you're safe and that something's not going to happen. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Penny, and I also live in Birmingham in the Huffman area. It seems like we've got a good showing for Huffman here tonight. I am very scared of the rate of crime that we have in Birmingham right now, especially in the area that I live in. And I keep hearing these commercials, if you see something, say something, but who's there to hear it?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Wow. So you're saying that if you see something, you're probably afraid to say something? Okay. Okay. Next person. And keep the mic up to them so they can hear you, hear them online. Anyone else? Did I get everyone that's here? So being that we're at that juncture, then let's transition to you all asking me questions directly. So then I've heard your concerns, and I want to just take it from the top of just some of the things that I have heard so far. Based on what we were talking about earlier, your concern was what do we do, especially when you have young people who are getting killed, and how do we have retention in terms of police officers? People, sometimes they're amazed at how much I do remember, but I remember what you said. You retain officers by making sure that they have competitive wages and benefits. See, we have to understand that when officers put their lives on the line, I heard that comment earlier about retirees, when you're putting your life on the line on a daily basis and you have communities who have a heavy emphasis on crime, public safety to defeat crime, they don't play around with it, they defeat it, then they invest your tax dollars into it. And so that's how you're going to retain these officers, because again, if you're spending between $26,000 to $28,000 trained and then you've done the. We have to have a competitive with these other cities taking homes that are, and the way you use giving these officers something better benefits. We have at the city, effectiveness of the county is that they have for a government or an entity that has good benefits in addition to pay. Sometimes you take a lesser pay if you know that the benefits are good. So just know that I'm keenly aware of that, and that is one of the things as mayor that I know that we have to do in the HR department. We have to be very deliberate in making sure that every person that works for the city of Birmingham know that they have good benefits. And they're going to be paid fair. You know, everybody wants good wages, but we want good service. Well, the quality of the service is contingent upon the quality of the people who are providing the service. And so that's how we're going to do that. One of the other things that I think I heard earlier is about as churches, about your role and your involvement. I believe that, you know, they call it the religious community, but I think those who have moral compass in our community, the city has to, in my humble opinion, grow that relationship. Because one of the things that I do know is that you cannot take a person who has no fear of death and you don't try to give them some other alternative to see a different kind of life. I'm clearly aware that when I'm working with children, and I have for over 21 years, to take a child and say, don't do something, but I show them no alternative path, all I'm doing is putting that child, when they call it school to prison pipeline, that's how you do that. Because we're not showing them anything differently. If I don't have a father at home, if I don't have a supportive family at home, there has to be some other outskirt of support. And if the city is not helping to do that, then all we're doing is fostering younger criminals. You know, and we're not giving them an alternative to say, here's some organizations that the city is going to partner with deliberately so that we can be able to show you that there's a better kind of lifestyle and make good, better choices. And so I heard that. Also heard about as young folk, you want to feel and know that you are safe when you go out with your friends. I think what is unfortunate that we have allowed to happen is that for the younger generation that want to live a better, clean, wholesome lifestyle, we have a tendency to not put you in a good place. And I think that that's very unfortunate because we're losing younger people, not just to death, we're losing young people because of the fact that the talent we have, they're leaving. They don't have anywhere to go. They don't have anywhere safe that they want to go. And so because of that, that's the reason why, as the mayor, you have to be connected with that. And we have to make sure that we are doing something different. And that different has to be, you not only feel safe, we're going to prosecute individuals who are after your safety. If you want to do the right thing, our job has to be to create an environment for you to do so. That makes sense? For those of you all that talked about being in communities where police appear to be unresponsive, I want to share tonight something that happened with me, which really made me become an advocate. I love police and fire department. So I want to make sure I say that before I begin, but I had someone to try to attempt to break in my home with me at home. And I dialed 911, and the police didn't show up. I felt violated more because I didn't feel like I had any help. I was at home alone, and here you have an incident where someone, obviously they see the cars, they don't mind dying, and they don't mind killing you in the process. And the problem that I had with that is that I had 2 other incidents to happen within the same year, and the police still didn't show up. So because I'm a commissioner, I had to say to the sheriff, I got to have some policing at my home. I work hard every day. I have people in my community that work hard every day. I have elderly people in my community. And you mean to tell me if the commissioner cannot get a police response, what in the world are other people going to do? And so that's why I was such a strong advocate for the sheriff's department, that when he brought his budget, and the budget including providing services in Birmingham, then I'm for it, because 47% of my commission district is in Birmingham. And for a police officer not to respond to a 911 call or to call 911 and you're placed on hold is unacceptable. So I'm ready to take questions from any of you all before we start taking online questions. Yes, ma'am. Please state your name and who you are.
My name is Barbara Thomas. I'm the president of the Norwood Neighborhood Association.
Yes, ma'am.
If elected the next mayor of Birmingham, how will you address violent crime?
That's an excellent question. Well, number one, I believe in it works from the top down. I call it the spirit of the leader. The leader has the lead. And as the mayor, my job is to provide the resources for you to fight crime. I think that that's what Birmingham got away from, is that first of all, you need to identify where these areas are. You need to identify who's committing these crimes, but you got to empower the police department to fight crime. And let me just expound on that a little bit. If you are outgunned, and a lot of that is happening in our community, they have weapons that our police department don't even have. If you are out in terms of a vehicle, they can outrun you in a chase. How in the world can you take an SUV to catch up with a Charger? Your fleet is not even up to par to catch a criminal. In addition to the fact, you're talking about fighting criminals, but we're pacifying the problem. And what I mean by that is this. I believe when criminals commit crime, and especially violent crime, because that's what you talked about, violent crime, those persons shouldn't be allowed to continue to kill in Birmingham, go to jail, out by the end of the day or the end of a shift of an officer that put their life on the line to even put that person in jail. The city has to do a better job, number one, of working with the district attorney's office, working with our criminal courts to retain or make sure that they are left there to do the time for the crime committed. As a county commissioner, I can tell you that's one of the things that I've seen that these other affluent cities do. They're in touch with the district attorney's office. They're making their position known that we want these people locked up. We don't want them to continue to get out, just like we've seen one person that supposedly or allegedly committed 18 homicides. You still out? The system failed us. As taxpayers, the system failed us. But you got to have a mayor that's demanding that has to change. But you got to work with relationships to create partnerships on behalf of the city. So that means that I have already a very good relationship with our district attorney, Danny Carr. I have a great relationship with those judges that are in criminal courts. And they know I have no problem even now calling to say, what is this situation? What are we going to do about it? That's the way we have to be tough on crime. Criminals have to know you cannot come to Birmingham and make us scared of you. We're going to make you extremely uncomfortable to commit a burglary in Birmingham, to be a car thief in Birmingham, for you to kill people in Birmingham. The people have to understand this is for your benefit. And one thing that I've noticed even throughout tonight, the people here, they want that anyway. Taxpayers actually want people to go to jail for committing crimes. It's the criminals that don't want folk to lock them up. Did that answer your question? So you're going to have a man that, number one, we're going to make sure that we get that staff up to par. You can't continue, not at this pace. You can't solve crime. You don't even have 500 officers, from what I'm being told, right? So if you supposedly at least need 900 with the square mileage of Birmingham to even respond to a call adequately and properly, then you got to, first of all, make sure that we have officers to respond. Yeah, we got to have officers on the street that are responding. And they got to take the training that they've learned and keep it here and not give it away to another municipality or another city. Yes, ma'am. Anyone else have a question? Yes, sir.
Yes, if you were elected mayor at one point in this city, the last couple of years, violent crime, murders were up dramatically. We didn't have proper investigation of those crimes. A lot of them have gone unsolved as of today. If you were the elected mayor, would you roll out some type of task force to go and revisit some of those unsolved murders to give those families some closure that don't have that crime solved?
So I'm glad that you said that. As a family, I've had 2 persons killed in my family, and those murders have gone unsolved. If you ever want a family to continue to mourn, it's to act as though it never happened, and as a result, the criminal got away, but the family died with their loved one. That's the truth of it, because you feel like nobody's listening. What happened to when I keep going down to the police station and I'm telling you things that I'm hearing? Are you following up on it? Do you even care about, at the end of the day, it's been 5 years. And the fact is, to this day, I have to call you. You never follow back up with me. So, first of all, as a mayor, what we have to do is, again, empower the police to fight crime. If that case has not been solved, that's still an active investigation. And it should be that we demand, in terms of myself as the mayor, that the police department utilize every resource available to solve crime. We cannot just keep arresting people, because if they get off, then what? But what we do have to do, in addition to arresting folk, you got to solve some cases. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I'm hearing that the clearance rate for Birmingham, it has now gone up so largely and all that. It shouldn't have took 7.5 years to start closing some of these what we call cold cases. It shouldn't have took 7.5 years to do that. When you realize that whatever you're doing is not working, then you got to get another plan. But you have to also rely, on the experts of law enforcement. So that's not just your police chief. Your police chief should also have a relationship with the FBI, with DEA, with these other outside task forces like U.S. Marshals and others, because when Birmingham may be stopped at a certain point, that criminal is still out there. But you have other agencies in law enforcement that can help close in on that individual. And I've seen it happen. I saw it happen with the case over in Hoover. I won't call that person's name, but when they said that they were kidnapped, did you see how quickly that city, they went into operation? I called that mayor and I said, listen, I said, tell me as a county, what can we do? Well, you know, Commissioner Scales, we already have the FBI, U.S. and they went to just naming these other law enforcement agencies, and guess what? They solved the crime. The person was not dead, thankfully, but whether they were dead or had been a false abduction, it didn't matter. The city got to the bottom of it. And that's what we need to get back to doing, solving crime, not just arresting folk, but what do we do once we have arrested them to solve the actual crime committed? Does that make sense? Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
So one thing that I've been seeing lately is this House Bill 14. That's been really concerning about me in regards to the state possibly taking over our police department. It's already kind of out of hand, and I'm kind of concerned with if somebody comes in that isn't from here, people being unjustly arrested.
Mm-hmm.
I know we live in Alabama. There's a lot of people that, you know, don't trust the police, and I feel like this is a way for someone to come in and over-enforce.
Okay.
So as if you were to become mayor, is there anything that you could do in regards to that?
Well, let's talk a little bit about House Bill 14. That goes for all of us in this room and those who are online. House Bill 14 is actually a bill that has been crafted and already been presented in the House, but it got delayed, and it's not in the House. I think it was in the committee. But the bill is designed that due to the high number of violent crime, of criminal activity that has occurred in Birmingham, we've had over 930 plus reported homicides. We've had more than 1,000, if you total it all together, that have not been reported. So this bill was designed for cities that have high crime rate, violent crime rate, and yet they have low police department personnel. So the fix is, well, the state, through the governor's office by way of the lieutenant governor, I want to say, but at any rate, if you look up the bill, it's House Bill 14. It is on page 2, section 5B as in boy, would then be in a position that the state can appoint interimly your police chief. Now, for those of you all who understand and recognize civil rights, in Birmingham, the Public Safety Commission was under Bull Connor. You ever want to destroy a city, you take over their police department. We've already had the bill that already passed, which was Senate Bill 330. We no longer even have the controlling votes over our water system that the citizens of Birmingham, through the tax base, that we paid for. It was sold in 1999, but at least we had the votes. I was on the council that appointed those board members. But we went from 5 to 9, and then from now you're at 7 and only 2. To the degree that they changed the name of the board. It is called Central Alabama Board. And so that's unfortunate. But look at what's happening when you talk about that House bill. So as a mayor, we have a law department. That law department needs to be working for us. Every last person that works for the city, including elected, merit, appointed people, are getting paid. None of us are there for free. And the problem is that if you are underutilizing or not utilizing at all your law department, then what are we paying for? And then the Mayor Council Act, Section 4.06 says that the mayor has the authority after the change in 2016 to hire what is necessary on behalf of the city. So what's the problem? You're lacking fortitude, the will and the desire to fight. Because that's one of the things that I heard very clearly. I wanted to know as a commissioner. I live in the city of Birmingham. I pay taxes in the city of Birmingham. I wanted to know, did Birmingham fight to try to keep their own water in terms of the controlling of the policy? I heard no. They never heard from the current mayor. They didn't hear from a lobbyist on behalf of the city. They didn't hear from the city law department. So that was an easy loss, but a win for the state. And now that same Alabama state legislature, that consists of your House of Representatives and your senators, they're now looking at this bill which has already been developed. This time, just like it was with the water, you introduce it in 2024 and you come back in 25 and take it. Well, I'm getting on good report that if we don't get these homicides down, not the little games that we're playing talking about homicides are down and people are still getting killed and folk getting shot every day, then guess what? The state is going to be able to appoint your interim police chief. Now, here's what you all have to understand. Interim is only to the appointing authority. That means that interim can be 4 or 5 years from now. But your mayor, who that police chief reports to, will not be able to report to me as the mayor and the city council. That chief of police will now be reporting to the state of Alabama because they are an agent or a representative, according to this bill, of the state. If nothing else, that's why people got to get out to vote. Because that's going to dial Birmingham back. Over 50 years, we've never had a state takeover in the city of Birmingham. And now you're talking about another possible asset of the city being taken away. You got to have a mayor that's going to fight. And I'm talking about fight with the law. I'm not just out here talking about just talking. You got to have someone that's going to tell that law department, direct staff, the mayor has the power to do so, that every bill that is against the city of Birmingham, your job is to find a solution in the law, and we're going to fight, and we're going to bring everyone in the community together to help fight it. Anyone else? Next question. And then we'll start going online.
Hello, my name is Monica Nelson.
Yes, ma'am.
If and when you are elected, how could you help or connect with or find a way to provide funding for a safe house, a safe place for gun violence victims?
That's a good question. There are nonprofit organizations that specialize in doing what you were just asking about earlier, right? And just like our unhoused community, it's not like all of them want to commit crime, but you got to work with people that this is their specialty. This is what they do. And what Birmingham has done to me is become an island. We like taking photos and we get out and make it look like we're busy. But when families are hurting, that's why one of the things I never do, you'll never see me at a funeral unless that family asks me to be present. If they don't ask me, I don't politic over someone's funeral because I recognize that family needs help. Now, when you're talking about housing individuals, again, we have a lot of blighted property in Birmingham. Why couldn't we not, as a city, cede those properties to organizations that will house individuals and give them a safe place to stay? I know when this person was running in 2017, the current administration, they said, well, our Parks and Rec will be a safe haven for children. But children got to go home. They got to go home to violence, whether it's domestic violence, whether it's whatever kind of violence that they're exposed to, they got to have a different life. I will say this. I'm so thankful for the church that I am a part of, because one of the things that we have done is to invest in the unhoused community and have taken the church money to invest in community properties where they can live. Because if they continue to live in that community, they're never going to change if all they see around them is violence and crime and the whole criminal culture. Because we got to change the culture. And so that's why I'm saying that we got to have a heart as a city to not just be a government that accept tax dollars and then mistreat the people who are paying the taxes. We got to be there, and we got to think outside of the box. I don't have all the answers, but I do know partnerships is what I've been able to do over at the county, and it works. Anyone else before we take any online questions? Before we do, I do want to say this. I know that we have a member of our audience that want to talk to us about violent crime that affected them. This is one of those situations where you can see firsthand how you never stop crying. When families lose a loved one, regardless to when the funeral is over, when they haven't closed the case, when people have gone on with their lives, and yes, we appreciate the vigils and everything that they do, I think that it would be incumbent upon us to put a face to it so that we'll do something about it. Sometimes people don't care until it hits home. And so if you don't mind, if you can allow, if you don't mind to state your name, please.
My name is Quinetta Merson. I'm a resident of Birmingham, and I am also a bus driver for City Birmingham School. Oh, sorry, guys. It's hard.
It's okay.
I got 13 more days. It'll be 17 years since I lost my son, and it just seemed like yesterday. Me and my son was very close. He got killed at age 24 to gun violence. And every time I hear a gun or hear somebody else's child that got killed, it affects me every day. And I live with this on the inside, and I continue to smile when no one can see that hurt. But this, I want the people to know that's out there doing these crimes that is really, really affecting the ones that have lost a child to gun violence. I just pray every day that this violence will stop. I'm praying that no one else had to go through the pain that I'm feeling, and other ones that's in here today that's going through the same thing I'm going through. Don't feel the pain that I had to live with for the rest of my life. I'm just praying that we all come together as one, as a community, and work together and help stop this crime that's going on. It's gonna take us all as a village, as we grew up. When we started off, our parents and the neighbors, they looked out for one another. We had crime, but not like this. And when you just don't know when it do come to you, you really understand how much the hurt that people have lost a child before me. And I'm feeling their pain. And I'm feeling the ones that's after me. So, my son and I was very close. This is my Booney. This is my baby. And we were so close. He was just my oldest. I had him when I was 14. And it was just a bundle of joy. And Booney, nobody don't realize, Booney always with me. And he with me now. And he always tell me, Mom, I'm okay, don't cry, because I'm always with you. But I can't feel him anymore. I can't touch him and tell him that I love him. Even though I feel his presence, I feel his spirit around me. God allowed that, and I thank God for that. But I can't hold him anymore. I can't tell him that I love him anymore. It just affects me every day that I hear this crime. People, other kids are getting killed. So y'all, let's work together. And I know Miss Gill, she's gonna do a good job as a mayor. And I know, as all of us in this room today, if we work with her, if she come and be the mayor of the city of Birmingham, which I know she would make a great mayor of the city of Birmingham. She does a great job now in what she does as Commissioner Jefferson County. I love her. I love you. And I thank you for everything you do. You are a great person. You are a loving person. And everybody here know that. You do such a marvelous job for all families. Just not mine, but everyone in this room. You touch their lives. And I just want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak about my baby. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I will say this, that's the reason why I said to someone, I said, I came into serving in government. I struggled with it because I never saw anything come from it. And I'm very grassroots. Anyone, that knows me know that that's one of the reasons why I am. Because in government, if you're not careful, you'll start seeing people as just a number. It's just another person. It's just another tier. It's just another candlelight vigil. But when you see and you hear someone, and it's just like it happened yesterday, it is what it is. I am ready to and be praying for her and be praying for all families that are affected by violence that has occurred in Birmingham. And let me tell y'all something. It's not just happening across this country. Let me just say that. I've always said it's not happening across Jefferson County. You're having some crime, but not at the level that every single year for over the past 7.5 years, we've had more than 100 homicides every year. We're on number 44 right now, and we're just in July. And when you compare that against Huntsville, that in 2023, they had 19 homicides. Last year, they had 18. And we are applauding, and we're talking about a city that's much larger than Birmingham. In fact, it's the largest city in the state, so that couldn't be the issue. Yes, ma'am. You ready?
All right, LaShonda, our first question online. Birmingham has no city jail due to repairs and environmental issues located at 6th Avenue South. Will you support a new city jail?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the city jail is inhumane. The conditions, even when I was on the council, the mayor proposes, the council votes. But even then, I talked about how badly of a situation that you're going to put a criminal in jail when it's a city issue. It's a petty theft. It's a small crime. It's a misdemeanor. But you still got to remember they're people too. And you don't want to put a person in a situation where they can die. That's not what we set the city jail up for. So absolutely. I think it should have been torn down, to be frankly honest with you, and I think it needs to be rebuilt. I know people say, well, you shouldn't want a jail. Every other city has a jail. They just make it humane to be in jail because they're going to put you in jail if you commit a crime in their city. But at the end of the day, that's what we as taxpayers are paying for. And we have to look to our leadership to say it is inhumane instead of trying to sell it, Because for that person that asked that question online, that was the reason why this mayor became upset with the commission lately, is because they wanted to sell it. Sell it. I have my suspicions why, but if you're wanting to sell it, then you didn't want to go with the rules of paying for selling it. Because then you cannot take a person with a misdemeanor and then put them over in the county jail. Because guess what you have at the county jail? People who have committed more than misdemeanor offenses. And so why would I put someone with a minor offense and I'm going to put you in the county jail where you got rape, murderers, you have other types of criminal element there, and then expect for you to survive? No, that's not right. The city needs to do right by those that they incarcerate on a city level, which means that you shouldn't be there long. And we need to make it at least humane for you to go to jail. Don't want you to stay in jail, but we should make it at least humane for you to be there. Yes.
Our next question is from Gwendolyn Welch.
Yeah.
What is your position on prosecuting those who are dumping illegally in the city?
I'm glad you asked that too, because when I was a council member, I noticed that people would dump where there was a no dumping sign. Code enforcement works at the pleasure of the mayor. Every department works at the pleasure of the mayor. So something is not right with code enforcement if you're telling me that persons can go in front of a no dumping sign and put your couches, your everything out there, and the city don't enforce it. Now, I'm going to tell you something. When I was on the west side of Birmingham, which is where I grew up, when I first got married, that's where we were, and everything under the sun happened. I moved out east because out east, they picked up the trash. They didn't let you put your mattresses in your toilets on the right of way. But guess what? It started happening out east too. So you come and look on our thoroughfares, you got toilets and all that. What is that? That's codes not being enforced. And we should have litter cams. They say we have litter cams. What good is a litter cam if I'm not prosecuting the individuals who are violating the no dumping in Birmingham? I believe they need to go to jail. If they don't, they need to pay a fine, and not a $5, $50, $100 fine. They need to pay a real fine. They need to be penalized so that you know these people in Birmingham, they watching us. That's one of the things that I can say about other municipalities or cities within Jefferson County. They make you real uncomfortable because everything is brightly lit. So at night, you don't have to try to find your way. And during the day, if you drop trash out, they're going to have a camera zoomed in on your tag. And before you know it, these people have written you and don't show up for court, talking about a failure to appear. They're going to pick you up. So I believe that those who violate laws in Birmingham, regardless of what it is, if the offense is there and it can be proven, then they need to be penalized for it.
We have our last question, LaShonda. And you just spoke on the homicides.
Mm-hmm.
How can you reduce them when most of the time it's domestic? Police can't be everywhere.
So here's something that I hear all the time. When the city of Birmingham Police Department is either reduced down to saying the mayor's one person, he can't solve crime, he can't stop it, and it's domestic. Well, then help me to understand, if it's all domestic and you have that kind of intel, then why don't we have more people arrested for it? If you have that kind of intel, when I call it intelligence, police intelligence, if it's all domestic, why are we not prosecuting more of those individuals? See, you cannot say on one end that we know that these things are happening and they're happening within a certain group. No, what you're doing is you're making up excuses for it. Because we would not be committing the level of crimes that we're committing in Birmingham, and especially violent crimes, if we knew that the intelligence we have, you would be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So I kind of don't buy that part of it because your child was at a gas station getting gas, didn't know the individual. I just said someone tried to break in on me. I didn't know the people who were trying to break in on me. But her son was shot at a gas station by someone he didn't even know. So do you call that domestic? Or do you call that what it is? It's called an attempted murder. That's what happened to her son. And I think until we start being honest with what's happening in Birmingham, that's the only way you're going to fix it. You can't fix what you're in denial about. Okay? So, anyone else? That's it?
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. Like, click, and share for those of you all who are online. I'm very accessible. I'm very upfront now. I would tell you that. But I want to say to the retirees of Birmingham that if you elect me as your mayor, we're not going to have that as a conversation, because I know in order to retain, which is what you talked about, in order to retain public works, to retain police and fire and every other employee at the city, we're going to have to look at their benefit package. We're losing good people at the city that you're a taxpayer, but you have to understand you're paying for a service. Those who work for the city are the administrators of that service. So if we're not trying to find a way to keep them, how are you going to get your neighborhood clean? How are you going to make sure that the police are patrolling and that we're prosecuting folks and that we're doing what we need to do if we don't care about the quality of people that we hire from the start? Now, I'll tell you something. The one thing that will separate me from any other candidate is a couple of things. Number one, I worked at the city as a leader, not someone who worked on a job, as a leader for 9 years. I was a council member that understood my job was to advocate. I was my people's voice. Legislate, which we came up with city policies. Pass a balanced budget to make sure that the needs of my community were included in the mayor's budget. And we appointed folk to boards and agencies out of the community who could be a voice on behalf of the community when it comes to these boards. So when I hear, well, she served the longest and she didn't do it. No, I didn't have the power of the mayor. But I can tell you one thing, I'm not inexperienced. You got to have a policy maker on your side in order to protect the interests of the citizens of Birmingham. You also got to have someone that's a fighter. Not just fighting to win. I'm talking about knowing the battles that we got to win the war. The war on violent crime, we got to win. The war on losing our young people at an early age, we got to win. The war on young people who will get educated and not even want to come back to work in Birmingham, these are wars. I have enough integrity and enough sense to recognize you can't keep losing young people and wonder why your city is getting smaller and smaller. You cannot continue to mistreat people and they not go to somewhere else, even if it's an apartment, to sell their home to go to an apartment if they're going to get treated better. It's not hard. You just got to have a mayor with a heart. Nobody has to cry for LaShonda Scales to cry. I cry for my people. I recognize, even as a commissioner, that's why I'm running. 47% of my commission district is in Birmingham. I can't turn my back on my people. I could easily go to the county and be quiet. People have done that. But I can't do that if the people who helped me to become a commissioner, they're dying on the streets. They're telling me we don't have the help we used to. And you know what? My hands are tied. I can't do nothing about it. I do the best I can. But I recognize you got to have a leader that leads. You got to have a leader who cares about you. You cannot just simply be another person. Tuesday, August 26th, they're all ready right now. You can absentee vote, but if you want different, you got to vote different. 8 years of the same old stuff, same old, I want to say lies, same old stuff. That's not going to get it. 8 years prior to that, this same person said was enough for the last mayor. And now he's having to be held accountable for the same thing you said about the last mayor. And guess what? out of 8 years, if you can't show me nothing, I don't know what you're looking for. And I will say this in closing. The only mayor that has ever had 3 terms as a black mayor is Richard Arrington. I'm trying to figure out, what has this person done that merits 12 years in office on top of the 8 years that we already didn't have? That's 20 years. Maybe some of you all have 20 years to give away. I don't. I don't. You don't either. So stop listening to what people say. Study the facts. Make sure that this time when you vote, be educated on these folks, including even my record. And I want you to know, from me to you, we got to take back our city. Our city cannot have no more of people leaving. And when you say you're from Birmingham, they say, what? You from Birmingham? Man, that's bad. No more. This your city. This Tuesday, August 26th, you make up in your mind, I'm taking my 4 and some more. You got to make up in your mind. The power is in your hand. You're the voter. You're the taxpayer. Take back your city. This your city. Let's take back our city. Thank you all for joining me tonight, and thank you all for being online with us. God bless you. Vote Tuesday, August 26th. LaShonda Scales, Mayor of the City of Birmingham. Thank you.